In this next segment, Coach, we're going to talk a little bit about the pitching. I want to talk about who's competing for your starter roles, what you got in the middle relief, what you're looking at in the bullpen. You've got some talented guys coming back. You got some really talented guys coming in as well. Let's start off in the bullpen. How do you feel that shakes out as far as the closers, who's competing for those roles, and your little bit longer relievers as well?
Sure. Well, just kind of give you more philosophical, guys who pitch at the end of the game, they have to have a high strike percentage. They got to have swing and miss stuff, and they got to be able to field their position. You think about what's important at the end of the game where you might need a strikeout. You can't walk people, and it could be a bunt situation, so you better be able to handle the baseball. So you kind of roll that all in, and, you got to take a look at the guys who have that combination of stuff, of command, and who can field their position. And so everyone knows Ryan Ammons from last year being a prolific closer and having a lot of success, but we've actually shifted him and moved him into more of a starting capacity. So it's opened the door for some more high leverage guys to have that opportunity. So, you look at some guys with some big time fastballs on our team like Ty Olenchuk's got a big fastball. You look at some guys that maybe have that swing and miss secondary pitch like Willie Weiss with the slider. And then you look at a guy that's an elite strike thrower like Jackson Lindley. So those are older guys who've been around the block, who have that combination. So I could definitely see, those three guys being in some high leverage relief situations. And then, you've also got some guys, there can only be three weekend starters, and philosophically the starting pitching, we'd like to have guys who can throw 3 pitches for strikes to be able to get through that, turn that lineup over the third time and have that third pitch to go with. But we have, just writing down the depth chart here, we have a lot of high quality, high caliber pitchers where we may be able to not have to rely on that starting pitcher to stay out there that third time through the order, just because with the number of pitchers on our team that could start. And when we have a lot of pitchers on the team that could start, that means there's a lot of them that are going to have to relieve when they're not starting. And so, that middle relief area, it's loaded with names. It'd be probably easier to talk about the guys who could start, because those guys will also double as guys who can relieve. But there may be some guys who've been in starting roles in the past, like a Nick Clayton and a Nick Hoffman, who might profile more on our team to be in that long relief role and go through the lineup one time. And they both throw a lot of strikes, and just really finding that blend of how can we put these guys in a position to have a lot of success and help the team have success. But for the high leverage relievers, stuff, command, PFP, that's probably how we're going to prioritize it.
Okay. And you mentioned obviously the starters, ACC. You're going up against great weekend guys pretty much every time you roll on the field. Whether you're here at Doug Kingsmore, you're on the road, so you need to find those 3 guys for you, and obviously the midweek guys as well. What are you feeling as far as the guys that are competing for the starting rotation?
Sure. There's probably 9 or 10 guys that are in contention right now, heavily in contention. We mentioned Ryan Ammons, just his character and makeup and stuff and command and compete. He's certainly in the mix to not just be in the weekend rotation, but to lead things off and set the tone. And then you got guys that have really good stuff on this staff with Austin Gordon, Caden Grice moving back to the mound. He profiles as starter-type stuff. Billy Barlow has started in the past, and he's got tremendous sink and run on his ball. So does Casey Talent. Jay Dill is another guy with a big fastball that's got, big velo and a high spin rate with induced vertical break. He's got good stuff. Obviously, we mentioned Tristan Smith coming in, a highly touted freshman. He's, without question, a future starter in this program. I don't know how soon that will take place and materialize for him, but he'll have a very important role on this team. There's no question about that, and he's very capable of starting. And then Rocco Reed is another lefty that's come on that has got that combination of stuff and command. So that, those guys, there's a lot of them, and leaving out a few freshmen here that could certainly match up and have some good roles too. Joe Allen's got a great breaking ball. So does Nathan Dvorsky on the right-handed side, and on the left-handed side, Ethan Darden's a tough slot, low three-quarter guy, and B.J. Bailey has come in and proven he can get a lot of outs as well. So I know I'm leaving a few pitchers out, but all those guys that are in contention to start are also going to have big roles in middle relief and high leverage relief. So we've got a good problem on our hands of trying to figure out where all these innings are going to go. But we certainly have the talent on the roster to do it.
Well, speaking of talent, you brought in one of the top pitching coaches in the country as well. What kind of progression have you seen from some of the guys that came back now with, one of the top coaches around you guys brought in from Florida State? What progress are you seeing from some of the guys that are back?
It's this Jimmy Bellinger brings he's from New York, so you're going to get a guy with a chip on his shoulder and tough, and he's going to tell you what he thinks, right? But every team he has ever coached, and I've been on the unfortunate side of competing against him at times, and I just know personally the smothering feeling that you have when it's this relentless attack on the strike zone. And that's what we've seen with our Clemson pitching staff, just to prioritize just strikes and filling up the zone. And now you got guys with stuff that are also pounding the zone. He keeps and he's on it. He tracks it. He's there's no let up. And that's, I think, what a good coach just knows, that everyone on that pitching staff knows exactly what's expected, and he holds them accountable for it. They know what their strike percentage is after every bullpen, after every inner squad, and we know what our goal is for a strike percentage, and it's just this belief that the best pitching staffs and the best pitchers continuously pound the strike zone, and so we've seen a lot of that. So whatever happens out there, you're going to see pitchers who are out there competing. They show a lot of toughness, and they're going to be attacking the strike zone. And that is directly the personality of Jimmy Bellinger and every staff he's ever been a part of, and one of the main reasons it's made him so successful at every stint that he's had.
Certainly something that'll get the Clemson fans excited. Pitching has been one of the issues from keeping the Tigers from reaching the levels they'd like the last few years. So a lot of exciting things here from Coach. Appreciate him taking time and kind of giving us a preview of what the pitching might look like this season.
Hey Clemson fans, make sure to check out Clemson Insider for all your athletic coverage. Nobody does it better.